Take Two, Instagram.com, Jamestown, California. College athletes should be paid. The ruling by the justice. I want to talk about really quick the most important topic of them all, and that is the left media and its reporting this week on this subject. College athletes should be paid. Like I said, I wrote a article that college athletes should be paid in 2006 and also in 2007. And when I was writing that report, doing sports broadcasting, I was told that that idea is not popular. And if I continue to have an attitude where I promote that idea, that I won't be doing very well in that sports radio. And I want to say real quick that I continue to stand by my report, and I did that in 2006. So if we're in 2021, it's taken 15 years for something or someone to make a difference for that subject to get to the Supreme Court. Now, since we're talking so much about woke and the Washington Post bullshit that I saw on TV today, I want to see if the Washington Post or the left media on CNN, MSNBC, talk about this important issue, college athletes should be paid, or if they're going to neglect it this week. Now, why am I comparing the woke and comparing that college athletes should be paid? I'm doing it because it's a form of prejudice that these guys have not been paid, or sports for basketball, football, and baseball, and women's sports. That the NCAA has purposely not paid the players as a company for all this time. Now, if I were to have had my report going from a small level to a big level and somebody actually did something about it, we wouldn't have this conversation 15 years later, and there's a lot of missing money in the economy. Since there's so much deficit spending, it's important to talk about all the missing money that's not in the system that should be, or that the NCAA has that should be in people's hands. Number one, is the left media going to talk about Justice Kavanaugh and the fact that his assessment that no corporation could get away with it? Are they going to talk about that the Supreme Court under this justice was the one finally addressing the issue versus other justices? Why not in 2012 talk about it or have college athletes be paid under those justices? But it didn't happen. I'll tell you why it didn't happen. Because the left media, not only are they dishonest, not only are they crooks, but they're not going to tell you the truth when it comes to real news. And here's a perfect example. I'm giving you Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Last week, I crapped on Fox News, and I hammered Brian Kilmeade and Howard Kurtz, eating egg foo young. Now this week, we're going to return it to the other media. You don't have to watch this or listen to this report in order to cover an issue that you should already be covering. The answer is a yes or no question. Are you or are you not going to cover that college athletes should be paid? The reason why I'm bringing this up is since I wasn't allowed inside ESPN or to work for ESPN, you have your catty people work for ESPN, and that's all the radio stations not covering that college athletes should be paid since 2006 till now. Now that the ruling's in place or has been ruled on, well, where were you for the last 12 years? I'll tell you where you were. You were not allowed to talk about or report your opinion on those news channels because the NCAA would not let you. Because if you did, you would not be doing those radio spots for them any longer. This is important because while you're talking about stuff that happened 100 or 200 years ago, the prejudice is right there currently by stealing money from college athletes that should be paid. Let's see if the left media is going to talk about it. Let's see if ESPN's going to talk about it. Fox Sports, are you going to talk about it? College athletes should be paid. When I wrote the report, I'm a USC Trojans fan. I'm a USC Trojans hardcore football person. And when Reggie Bush had to give up his Heisman Trophy, I started to ask, well, why are college athletes not being paid anyway? Why is USC being punished when all the other colleges get their players on however they get their players, just they didn't get caught? Well, how do you solve the problem? If all the players simply get paid, then that would solve the problem of one player going to a different university or selected, because there would be no endorsements that are illegal. If everyone were to get paid, then we would never have this issue come up. And Reggie Bush could keep his Heisman Trophy because he's the Heisman Trophy winner. Also, 95% of those college athletes are not going to make it to the NFL or MLB. That the college athletics is the highest form of competition they're going to get. So they should be paid while they're making money for their schools, making money for television, making money for ESPN, making money for Ford, making money for whoever's advertising. I just can't understand since 2006. It's bad enough that you guys didn't let me work for you guys because my opinions mattered and yours didn't. Now I'm calling you out. I'm calling out all the people from 2010 to 2021 who stayed silent in this issue. Why should you be able to work for 10 years for a company while you're acting in prejudice, not talking about an issue, while everybody else is complaining about other prejudices, right? So this is going to hit you guys hard, right in the mouth, right in the gut. Big punch. This is going to take out half of sports media. And if it doesn't, then you're part of the woke. You're part of the problem. Because you've suppressed this issue when sports broadcasters talked about it and brought it up. Just like in 2016, when I complained about Colin Kaepernick using the NFL platform to not join the national anthem. And people were against me saying that. Look, if you want to promote your idea and protest, do it on your time. You could write a book. You could do it on a radio show. But don't do it right before the national anthem before a football game. But because no one allowed my voice to be heard or my voice didn't matter, it continued to the point where everybody started protesting and not joining in on the national anthem. Now that's just ridiculous. That's proof that the media allowed a lot of this to happen and to make it worse than it really was. How? Well, they had applicants that were already talking about these issues and they were aware of it. Well, why not allow those applicants to speak? Why not give them a 30-minute radio show that you're paying for their airtime so they could talk about the issue? Nobody allowed me to talk about college athletes being paid. And when I talked about it, I was discouraged by mentors and people saying it'll never happen, that their scholarship is their payment, and that's all they're deserving to get. Really? According to the Supreme Court, it was a 9-0 win. And 9 justices is a good amount of justices, in my opinion, for the Supreme Court. You should not be packing the court. 9's a perfect number. Here's a case where it was unanimous. Now that it was unanimous, I want to see if the left media is going to cover it the way it should be fairly covered. And I'm going to leave the take right there. The media versus the media has been a war since I started the media versus the media, because they declared war on little media way before Twitter even existed. And the fact that Facebook is used in the form that it's used, Facebook was used as a barrier to hurt our login names and to put Facebook in front of the login name, like Jamestown, California. JamestownCalif.com. Now I got to have Facebook.com/JamestownCalif. Really? I didn't need Facebook. I was already getting 4,000 visitors a day on my news website, and I was getting comments. And all those comments, most of them were good comments. Is the left media going to cover that college athletes should be paid? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. They're going to get into it? Are they going to compare that all these athletes for all these years, they're talking about reparations, but are they talking about money that they've already worked for playing sports? They're not going to talk about it. So this is going to show you if they're seriously genuine about their reporting on this issue. This is a knockout punch. This is not a TKO where the ref's going to stop it right before you unload on the knockout punch when they're already wounded and they're moving around and they're going to get knocked out. This is a straight up knockout punch. Kirk Herbstreit, did you ever write a report that the NCAA should pay college players? Did you ever talk about the issue? People that work under you, Lee Corso, did you talk about it? I don't mean to put the big names up there, but this is what happened. The big names did not talk about it. The big names suppressed the issue. The big names were allowed to continue to broadcast, while the little names were not. The applicants did not get those jobs, and that's the reason why they didn't get those jobs, because their voice mattered and their voice didn't matter. And when it came down to it, they were suppressing something that actually mattered, and that's very important. You cannot expect a person to work for free. But under not paying college athletes, since when I pointed it out in 2006, when I pointed it out, it was an official copyright. Therefore, you should have been working on getting those athletes paid. I don't need to be a famous person for the report to be out. The report was out and it was read and you knew about it. But did anybody else, after I wrote the report in 2006, write a report that college athletes should be paid and why they should be paid? And if they did, I want those people to speak up. But I don't think there was a single human being that reported or wrote a single report, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. You could have wrote a book about it. Should college athletes be paid? Yes. The answer is yes. Now, is the media going to report on Justice Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court's decision? The media versus the media. YouTube.com, Jamestown, California. I appreciate you listening. Thank you very much and have a great day.